a journey of liberation. In the land of Egypt, the Israelites were enslaved, enduring harsh labor under the oppressive rule of Pharaoh. Their cries of anguish reached the heavens, echoing in the ears of a God who was ever present. He remembered the covenant made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and resolved to deliver his people from bondage. In the midst of this suffering, a child was born. Moses, destined for greatness, was hidden by his mother to escape Pharaoh's decree that all Hebrew boys be killed. Placed in a basket among the reeds of the Nile, he was discovered by Pharaoh's daughter, who took him in as her own. Raised in the opulence of the palace, Moses was oblivious to his true heritage until the weight of his people's suffering stirred within him. As he grew, the conflict between his royal upbringing and his people's plight tormented him. One day, witnessing an Egyptian taskmaster brutally beating an Israelite, his anger erupted. In a moment of rashness, he struck down the Egyptian, burying his body in the sand. Fearing the consequences, Moses fled to the desolate land of Midian. In Midian, Moses encountered God in an extraordinary way. While tending his father-in-law's sheep, he stumbled upon a bush that blazed with fire, yet was not consumed. Approaching in awe, he heard God's voice calling him, "Moses! Moses!" The ground beneath him was holy, and God revealed his plan to deliver the Israelites. Moses hesitated, doubting his ability to lead, but God assured him of his presence, promising that Aaron, his brother, would assist him. Empowered, Moses returned to Egypt with Aaron by his side. Together, they approached Pharaoh, demanding, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he dismissed their plea, increasing the Israelites' labor instead. This only fueled Moses' determination. To demonstrate his power, God unleashed a series of plagues upon Egypt. The waters of the Nile turned to blood, making the river undrinkable. Frogs swarmed the land, invading homes and beds. Gnats, flies, livestock disease, boils, hail, locusts, and darkness followed, each plague a clear sign of God's authority. Yet with each calamity, Pharaoh's heart remained hardened, and he refused to relent. Finally, God prepared for the last and most devastating plague, the death of the firstborn. He instructed the Israelites to sacrifice a lamb and mark their doorposts with its blood, a sign for the angel of death to pass over their homes. Fateful night, as wails of sorrow filled the streets of Egypt, the firstborn of every household perished except for the Israelites, who were protected by their faith and obedience. Overwhelmed by grief, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron in the dead of night. "Go, take your people and leave," he commanded, urgency in his voice. The Israelites, filled with a mix of fear and exhilaration, prepared for their escape. They gathered their belongings and, under the cover of darkness, began their journey toward freedom, carrying gold and silver gifts bestowed by the Egyptians, who urged them to leave quickly. But Pharaoh soon changed his mind. Regaining his composure, he assembled his chariots and pursued them, determined to bring the Israelites back into bondage. Trapped between the Red Sea and the advancing army, despair gripped the hearts of the Israelites. They cried out to Moses, lamenting their fate. In that moment of desperation, Moses turned to God, who instructed him to raise his staff over the sea. As he obeyed, the waters parted, revealing a dry path through the depths. The Israelites stepped onto the seabed, flanked by towering walls of water. With unwavering faith, they crossed safely, witnessing the miraculous hand of God at work. Once they reached the other side, Moses raised his staff again, and the waters returned, engulfing the Egyptian army. The sound of crashing waves drowned out the echoes of pursuit, and the Israelites erupted in joyous song, celebrating their deliverance. Miriam, Moses' sister, led the women in dance, praising God for his mighty acts. In the wilderness, the journey was fraught with challenges. The Israelites, though free, faced hunger and thirst. They murmured against Moses, longing for the comforts of Egypt. Yet God, in his mercy, provided for them. Manna, a miraculous bread from heaven, appeared each morning, and quail descended at dusk. Water gushed forth from a rock, quenching their thirst and reminding them of God's unwavering provision. Arriving at Mount Sinai, Moses ascended the mountain to meet with God. There, enveloped in divine glory, he received the 10 Commandments, etched by God's own hand on stone tablets. These laws established a covenant, guiding the Israelites in their relationship with God and one another, shaping their identity as his chosen people. The journey continued, marked by trials of faith and moments of rebellion. The Israelites often wavered, forgetting God's wonders. Yet Moses interceded for them, pleading for their forgiveness and reminding them of God's promises. Through it all, he remained a steadfast leader, teaching them the importance of obedience and trust. As they approached the Promised Land, Moses climbed to the summit of Mount Nebo. From there, he gazed upon the land flowing with milk and honey, knowing his journey was nearing its end. He gathered the people and imparted his final words of wisdom, urging them to remain faithful to God and to remember their miraculous journey from slavery to freedom. Moses passed away on that mountain, but his legacy lived on in the hearts of the Israelites. The story of the Exodus became a powerful reminder of faith, deliverance, and the enduring promise of God's presence among his people.
The story of the Exodus is not merely a tale of ancient struggles. It resonates deeply with the challenges many face in our lives today. Just as the Israelites endured the burdens of slavery and longed for freedom, countless individuals around the world grapple with their own forms of bondage, whether it be physical, emotional, or spiritual. The weight of life's hardships can feel overwhelming, and at times, hope seems distant. Yet the journey of Moses and the Israelites reminds us of the power of faith and perseverance. When faced with adversity, they cried out to God, who responded with compassion and action. Similarly, in our darkest moments, we can turn to faith, seeking solace in the knowledge that we are not alone in our struggles. Just as God parted the Red Sea, creating a path where none seemed to exist, he offers us hope and direction even when the road ahead appears insurmountable. The Israelites' journey through the wilderness teaches us that liberation is often a process, requiring patience and trust. There will be trials along the way, times of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. Yet, it is through these challenges that we can cultivate resilience and deepen our faith. By remembering the promises made to us, we can draw strength from the belief that we are part of a larger story, one that is woven with purpose and intention. In our own lives, we are called to remember the lessons of the Exodus, to trust in the unseen, to support one another in community, and to embrace hope in the face of despair. When we feel lost or overwhelmed, let us be inspired by the Israelites who, despite their fears, chose to follow Moses into the unknown, believing that liberation awaited them. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, may we hold on to our faith and the promise of new beginnings. Just as the Israelites looked toward the Promised Land with hope, we too can envision a future filled with possibility. With each step, let us encourage one another to persevere, believing that through faith, we can overcome our struggles and emerge stronger, more united, and more deeply connected to the divine. In this shared journey, may we find courage in our hearts and faith in our souls, echoing the belief of those who walked before us. that no matter the trials we face, deliverance is always within reach for those who believe.